Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious, and today we'll be talking about the 20.1 update, which is currently on the Alpha Network. However, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently today, and also going over the community reaction and my personal opinions a little bit more, because some stuff in this update is pretty controversial. Before we get into this as well, I just want to say, make sure you like and subscribe down below as we are getting very close to 65k. Without any further ado though, let's launch right into this. Starting off with the elephant in the room, we're going to be talking about the Bal Pet. The final perk, Made of Lava, was changed on Alpha to no longer give you a certain percentage stat boost to all stats when in the magma fields, instead now giving you Pristine. This is a very severe nerf to the Bal Pet, and it will not be occurring when the update moves to the main server, likely this Tuesday. The reason why is because of a lot of community backlash surrounding this perk. To give you some backstory, this perk was utilized by a lot of players, Iron Man and non-Iron Man, to do a bunch of things within the magma fields. I'm not going to pretend to know every single thing people were doing, but effectively people were talking about the fact that this would nerf the ability to mine in the mines of Devon. This would basically make ruby mining a little bit worse. There were some other complaints as well, and I do agree that a nerf of 15% down to just 3 pristine is not going to be great for the game long term. However, I do want to also state a 15% stat boost to all stats is not sustainable. It just isn't. Especially as the game keeps evolving, as the game keeps changing, adding more and more mining items will make that boost better and better until it completely overpowers everything else in the game. So I completely understand their logic behind wanting to nerf it. I would much rather see it be turned into a flat additive buff of a certain amount of fortune or a certain amount of mining speed, rather than completely neutering it and just making it pristine only. But my opinion is, this nerf does need to happen, however their execution of it was very, very poor. Next up, heading over to the Forge, we can see that a few items have had their time to craft reduced by a fairly significant margin. Notably, this includes the Bejeweled Handle, as well as the Umber Plate, the Perfect Plate, and the Tungsten Plate. Another pretty solid Forge change is that the Tungsten and Umber keys no longer require full plates to craft, rather just Enchanted Tungsten and Enchanted Umber. However, the Skeleton Key is still fairly expensive, costing a Perfect Plate. Next up, there's the Glaciite Golem Pet recipe, which we can see here. It'll give you mining speed and cold resistance, and it costs quite a few Glaciite amalgamations, a super enchanted egg, and a flawless onyx, citrine, aquamarine, and peridot gemstone to craft. There are some changes to the Dark Auction in this update, notably the Sirius's personal phone number, which is a new item that you can consume to get him in your Abaphone. You also grant a 1% discount when buying items from the Dark Auction when you have this consumed. There's also a Magic 8-Ball, which is a new accessory, grants you a certain amount of farming, foraging, mining, fishing, or combat buffs, depending on the Skyblock season. I think these items are pretty cool, although I am personally against more items being added to the Dark Auction. I would have much rather see these be introduced in other ways. However, there is a new round in the Dark Auction, as well as a rebuilt space, so that is pretty cool. There were also a bunch of more general changes made to the Glaciite Tunnels update. There are 2 new commissions associated with the update, one of which focuses on you getting a crystal in the Glaciite mineshafts, and the other focuses on you killing the maniacs in the mineshafts. Personally, I think this is fine, I guess. I think the crystal one is a little too specific and RNG dependent to be a commission, but the other one's totally understandable. You also won't get completely locked out of doing commissions. It's still 3-to-1 for mining commissions, so you don't have to worry too badly about that. Another change I want to go over is related to cold. As you can see behind me, the campfire is now animated, and that brings with it a pretty bad change in my opinion, which makes it so cold doesn't deplete instantly upon heading to the camp, but rather depletes slowly over time. I do not know why they made this change. The current system is totally fine. This just makes people wait for no reason, and the solution that I imagine a lot of people will come to is just lobby swapping to get rid of the cold instantly. I have no idea why they did this, and I really hope it gets reverted before they decide to put it on the server, because frankly, I think it is pretty stupid. In terms of much better changes, there actually are a few things here. Notably, the inside of the Glaciite tunnels are now a little bit more rewarding long term. aside from the fact that the keys prices have been nerfed pretty significantly, but you actually can get Heart of the Mountain XP for leaving a mine shaft while collecting a certain amount of loot, which is pretty cool. Also, in terms of scrap, you can now gain up to 5 scrap per mine shaft. This also comes with the Paleontologist perk being fixed, no longer rewarding an insane amount of scrap. Overall though, the price of scrap will likely fall fairly significantly after the release of this update. Overall, this update is pretty mixed in my opinion. There are some really great things here. I really like the improvements to the scrap system, the keys system, and the forge timers, which were some of the biggest pain points of the original Glaciate Tunnels update. However, the nerf to Bal is pretty strange, and I really don't understand the change with cold. I feel like they should completely scrap that idea and keep it the same as it is. I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below though. Do you think this was a good update, a bad one? Do you like the changes, etc.? I really would like to hear your opinion. At the end of the day though, my name is Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas. I'll see you then.